Okay, it began with a call from an account director. I just need a UX person to attend one meeting, just one. You'll keep on using those words. I do not think they mean what you think they mean. I was swamped, but so is my team, so I went. Actually, the end client through our prime TMSC was really interesting. The Office of Head Start, the government agency that promotes school readiness for underprivileged children by funding local organizations that provide education, health, social services, those kinds of things. Likewise, the topic was really cool, the Ohs Complaint Service. Anyone involved with a Head Start facility who experiences something that they see as wrong can submit a complaint directly to OHS. It's an important part of the agency's oversight work and touches on many in the organization. So the service was strategically important and OHS saw it as underperforming. Cool. They wanted to help thinking about it holistically, true service design. So yeah, it was way more than just one meeting and I had no time. But why didn't he tell me it was such an interesting project? So we put on our experienced Pirate Roberts masks and started doing research. Senior stakeholder interviews, usability testing on the web interface, discussions with on-the-ground OHS staff, and some conversations with grantees. We had hoped to do more, but this COVID thing you may have heard about kind of got in the way. The conversations we did have produced fantastic insight. To capture this insight, I started on an as-is service blueprint because I really wanted to illustrate the mix of processes, roles, and technologies, as well as the ideas of front stage and backstage actions. But I quickly encountered a problem. It was clear from my research that the underlying process was very branchy. There were alternate paths and inconsistent flows that were key to discuss. A service blueprint, though, is really linear. So I tried some hacks, but I was clearly just creating a mess. So, I thought about good old-fashioned flow charts. They handle branches well. They show decision points and alternate paths really by design. There's an established language to them, and even if they can be a little wonky seeming, many people generally get them. But the flow diagrams leave out all that good stuff from a service blueprint. They don't tell you a lot about who's involved. They mention, but they don't highlight technology and how interactions happen. In short, you lose those helpful swim lanes. They're mostly just about process. So I began thinking and wondering if these two artifacts could and should be joined in Mawwiage. Can you take the core structure of a process flow and graft onto it the depth of a service blueprint? Well, this Mawwiage is what brings us together today. I started with a basic process flow. There's initiation, boxes representing different steps, indications of a split or where path options are. You'll see what's different is the size of the boxes. I asked them to do more than just hold a brief label. Into each box, I introduced the swim lanes. The audience, the complainant in this case, is represented in every box, even if only to say they don't figure in that step. I also capture the touch points for the audience interactions. There are then swim lanes in each box as needed for front stage elements, anchored by a line of visibility that's on every box. Grantees are effectively a second audience in this case, but there's also front-facing people and systems that we track. Backstage elements also appear in every box as appropriate, again grounded by that line of visibility that appears everywhere. So there again, people and systems, but I also wanted to capture operating principles and business rules that must be respected at a particular step. So here's a bigger view of the whole. You can see how the audience, the complainants, is sometimes involved, sometimes not. There are multiple paths with different kinds of actions and multiple layers of people and systems. On this foundation then, I overlaid indicators for places our research had identified issues or inconsistencies or things we'd like to know more about. We'd also front-loaded the web work so we could show where existing recommendations fit in the totality of a solution. So the resulting diagram provides lots of information, but the interviews gave deeper, richer feedback that fleshed out the stories. They gave emotional weight. We captured this insight in a companion deck where we could highlight quotes like this, well, sort of like this. Happily, in the big review meeting we had with senior stakeholders, participants seemed to be able to see the whole and find themselves in the diagram. The most senior stakeholders' immediate response was, "This seems fixable." She saw problems and solutions in it. So we're now using the tool to prioritize solutions workshops. Seeing the connections between steps helps identify points of leverage or areas needing change, but we can also tell who needs to be involved or have serious buy-in for any changes. So there's more to be learned about how using this tool will go, how it might work in other contexts, how it might scale, how to produce it more easily. I use Sketch. But for now, the process flow, the service blueprint, it's WAV, twoo WAV.
Clapping for everyone.
Thank you.
So for any of you who haven't watched The Princess Bride yet, you're missing out. Do that. I know we have a lot of free time at home, so that should be high on your priority list. Put it on your IMDb movies.
Yeah, no, it's a must see.
Yeah, so opening up the floor, if you have questions, please drop them in. The first one is, how many meetings did that end up being? I don't know what that refers to, but maybe you do.
So the research we did, I mean, sort of, there were 5, 6 senior stakeholder interviews, and we talked to 8 people across 4 of their regions and 3 representatives from grantee organizations. So that's sort of the kind of the core research. As I said, we'd hope to talk to, we'd hope to go into the database and get some actual complainants and talk to them. That didn't work out. We'd hope to talk to more grantees, but that was exactly when COVID hit, and anybody running a small nonprofit or publicly funded organization was summarily quite busy elsewhere. Did that answer the question?
One would hope. Yeah, Carl gave us thumbs up.
Cool.
I have a question, but I'm still gonna wait and see if anyone else throws one in there. Yes. Beth wants to know, were the stakeholders familiar with service blueprinting processes, or were you, or did you need to sell the value of it?
So they were not. They actually sort of got in touch with us originally because they said we need somebody to do a human-centered design project. That was it. They said like nothing about customer experience, service design, user experience, like none of that. It was so they were pretty open to kind of what process that we put forward. So I didn't have to sell per se, but that said, I did the sort of the deck I referenced makes a decent effort to go into kind of why we chose this effort, and that was actually kind of the Kickstarter for this presentation. Is I was able to kind of pull some of the core messaging there.
We have a question. How did you develop the principal or business rules?
Yeah, so that was coming out of the research. I looked at where somebody had said, you know, we always try to do this, or we want to make sure this is the case. And I just started capturing those. And I had enough of a collection that I realized that's kind of what was being talked about. And so I realized that was a swim lane that I wanted to introduce really as a reaction to what I was hearing in the research and needing to capture that input somehow.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, Zoom. Do you have any ideas as to what might be in a future version of this tool? Have you already run into barriers with this one yet?
The short answer is no. I haven't taken it far enough to hit that inevitable point. So I don't know what we will, what we'll run into, what we'll do from here. I'm hoping to, I'm planning to write a blog post about this thus far in case other people want to, sort of play with it and see what happens.
Thank you. We do have a few more questions, but I think we're going to move on to our next speaker. So Tim, if you have the time, please go through and answer those either in the chat or in the future.
Okay.
Some of them look like kind of interesting. There's also a link from N, so might be worth a click.
The Princess Bride, the part where they say the Mawwiage.
Well, then definitely everyone should click that. Okay, but not until after this Pecha Kucha.